Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Andy, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How about yourself?
Good, good. It's October 16th today, and we're on season 3, episode number 48. This is the sports only edition. We've got lots to cover. Baseball, of course, a lot of football, and a lot of high school.
High school and college stuff. Yep. We're all
Very
set. We
busy
got a
time
little
of
bit of
year,
everything.
of course. I got a trivia question we could start the show off with.
Yeah, let's fire with that first.
In 1988, which major league pitcher in 1988 in the postseason threw a shutout in both the playoffs and in the World Series? The only person to do so at the time to pitch a shutout in the postseason playoffs. Back then, it was just the championship series.
Yeah, East against the West. Yeah.
And the World Series. So 2 shutouts, one in each. So we'll come back and answer that. But that's 1988.
All right. All right.
Now the other thing on this day, Andy, if you weren't aware, which team won the World Series in 1969 on this very date?
You got to believe
The Mets. 100 to 1 odds preseason coming in to win the World Series, and they stunned the world.
Tug McGraw. You got to believe.
Oh yes, you got to believe.
You got to believe.
And now who's his Tug McGraw? Oh,
his kid does okay in the country music scene.
That's right. All right, I'll hand it over to you for some high school sports.
Yes, high school sports. Flip on my screen there, and we'll get to it here. Get my stuff over here. I click that button. All right. Here we go. We're going to start with high school football. There was a game Thursday. Well, there was more games Thursday, but ones that we're going to cover here. Mary Lutheran gets shut out by Lester Prairie. At the time, in 1A, this was number 2 against number 7, I believe Mary Lutheran was.
Okay.
Now, you go Friday, you're going, Andy, why are we talking about Kimball and Bold? We don't care. Yes, we do. Bold was ranked number 1 in 1A going into this weekend. So, Lester Prairie at 2 getting the win. Looks like the Bulldogs will take over number 1 when the rankings come out. Minnetonka loses a close one to Centennial 8-7. Eden Prairie over Edina. Anytime Edina loses, I like to show that. Watertown Mayor over Holy Family 49-12. Parker's Prairie loses 32-18 to New York Mills. And Waconia puts up the double nickels, as we like to say. 55-7 over St. Louis Park.
Wow.
Now here's some of the conference standings right now. The East Central, the South Part, there's Watertown Mayor in 3rd at 4-1. 6-1 overall, 4-1 in conference. Behind New London Spicer and Dassel Colcado, all 6-1 overall, but so kind of a split there in the conference, how they're all sitting. The Metro Gold South, Eden Prairie, 2nd place behind Rosemont. I mean, not saying Eden Prairie always wins. Sometimes might be a game behind, but they're 2 games behind Rosemont. So keep that in mind. Prior Lake, who started out hot, is back at 4-3 overall, 3-3 in the conference. So that's kind of make up for a nice little. We're just a week or 2 away from playoffs here for high school football, so they're getting close. The Mid-Southeast Red, there's Lester Prairie in 1st, Mary Lutheran 2nd, but this is including the game. So they'll have a 2-game lead there. So that opens that up a little bit for them. And the Northwest South, you got New York Mills at 6-1 overall. Wadena also 6-1 right there. Go to the U. We'll go downtown to the big campus first to cover their sports. Yeah, those football score 14-26.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of this, Andy. It was kind of depressing, but
it should have been like 55-14 Illinois, but just seems like the Gophers couldn't do nothing right.
No.
So here we are in the West Division of the Big Ten. There's Illinois on top, Purdue, Nebraska, Northwestern, then Minnesota at 1-2 in the conference. Which, the sad thing is, at this point in the season, we want to see Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin standings, but not as the bottom 3 teams.
Correct. I've got a comment. I've got a comment on that too, Andy. If you have a minute, we said at the beginning of the year the West is kind of up for grabs. The biggest challenge for the Gophers, who could win it, who could win the West very easily at the beginning of the season. The toughest challenge was to beat Iowa and Wisconsin.
Yep.
And they haven't even played them yet, and we've got 2 losses. Now, look what Illinois has done coming out of nowhere. Their 3 wins are against Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, the toughest 3 potentially in the conference.
Right. The 3.
They already have those wins out of the way.
Yep.
They're sitting very pretty here in the West.
Yep. And there's our schedule. We got Penn State, Rutgers, Nebraska, Northwestern, Iowa, Wisconsin. And those last 3 games, I put on the social media the other day. When they lost to Illinois, I put on Music City Bowl, here we come. Because that's what we're going to be stuck playing if we even make that.
Correct.
Hockey was off for the week, and they got 2 against North Dakota for the men. The standings are they haven't played anyone conference, so it's just been Ohio State and Wisconsin with 2 games played, and you can see Ohio State beat them. So they're first, and everybody else is second. Overall, though, Minnesota is 3-1. Ohio State 4-1-1. Penn State, Michigan ahead of them. The gals, they did a home and home with the Mavericks. I took the first one, 11 donut. Then they came home and let the Mavericks score a little bit, but still won 9-4. So we swept the Mavericks. Next week they do a home and home with St. Cloud State. So we'll be at St. Cloud on Friday, then here Saturday at Ritter. Here's the WCHA points and standings right now. Ohio State 1, Gophers 2, Wisconsin 3. So big games coming up. They see St. Cloud State's down there at 5th. Not doing so well this year. Not doing so well. And then there's the Beavs next to last. Thank God for St. Thomas. The Beavers aren't in last place. And here's some volleyball. Ohio State takes on the Gophers 3 donut. But then we came back and got revenge at same Saturday on the volleyball side. We beat Illinois 3-0 there for women's volleyball. That's not all the Big Ten. It's the top 5 schools there, of course. Nebraska, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Purdue, and us. Next 2 this week, away at Iowa City, and then number 9, Purdue at home. All right, Dan, I'm not happy. I'm concerned. First, it was the Mets last week, and now this week the Bison lose to the Bunnies in the Fargo Dome. I cried, Dan.
I'm sure you wept.
I wept.
It's been a tough couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been ugly. It's been real ugly here. The Shadow Studios head intern Lisa has hidden all sharp objects from me.
Wow.
The liquor cabinet's been locked and the keys hidden. That's not been safe. The Bison did I don't know what to say. Second half, I don't know if they forgot to come out of the locker room or what. Jackrabbits was picked away. They played a smart game. They picked away, came back, boom, boom, boom. That's what you got to do to win, and they did. So congrats to them. And like I said, yes, I'm upset the Bison lost, but like we said last week, it was number 1 against number 3 in the nation. So it's not really an upset, but people were upset.
Oh, yes.
Here's what the standings are in the conference now. South Dakota State 1, Southern Illinois 2. The Bison dropped to 3 because Southern Illinois is quietly 4-0, 5-2 overall. So with 5 straight wins. So that's going to make it tough for getting some home field for the playoffs when the playoffs come around if they get invited at a 3 seed. So who knows? Or 3rd in the conference, who knows? So we will see. See how this affects the rankings coming out later in the week. How Southern Illinois goes up, how far the Bison go down. If South Dakota State takes over number 1, we'll see. But here's the rest of the Bison schedule. Illinois State, then at Western Illinois, at Southern Illinois, and then home against the Sioux, or whatever they call themselves now. The Beavs, Dan, Paul Bunyan's isn't the only axe that gets played for. The Beavers won the axe. They have between them and Morehead State this weekend.
Okay.
The axe is back at Bemidji State, or still Bemidji State, because they kind of handled Morehead State pretty easily there. 46-7. Rest of the schedule for the Beavers rest of the year. Minnesota Duluth, Southwest Minnesota State, Northern State, and UMary. That Minnesota Duluth game, senior day at the Chet. and they're tied with Minnesota Duluth for the North Division. So very, very big game. Hopefully the Beavs pull that one off and get back-to-back conference titles. That would be nice. There's some Beaver hockey for the men. Like we said, they started the season at Arizona State and split. They were off this week, and then they are at Michigan Tech the 21st and 22nd. The Gals, like we said, lost to Ohio State. They did it actually on Sunday. They were tied at 2-2 at one time in the third, and then Ohio State just, I don't know, flipped the switch or something. Then they're at Wisconsin, so tough opponents right off the bat for the girls, but get them done with. Here we go. Here's some soccer scores for the Beavs. Southwest Minnesota State and Sioux Falls are victorious over. Next 3 games to finish off the season: at UMary, home against Minot State, then at Crookston. And here's the standings. There's top 5 for them there. There's the Beavs at second, 8-1-3 in the conference, 9-2-4 overall. So very important, that Minnesota State matchup. They don't have Minnesota State. They got UMary, Minot State, so they got to sweep those 3 to be looking good. NASCAR, Joey Logano winning today. Russ Chastain second, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, and Denny Hamlin. I don't have pictures of it here, but if you look afterwards, Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson kind of got into fisticuffs afterwards. So we'll see. NASCAR has not announced any penalties or fine. There'll be fines and suspensions, as Wally Carbo used to say in the AWA days. So we'll see how they handle that one. Now in the playoffs, there's 8 racers left, 8 drivers left for these next 3 races, and then the final 4 go 1 race. Now again, when I say final 4, everybody still races. All 30 guys are still there, but only 4 that are in it. As of right now, here's the 4 that would advance. Joey Logano with his win today. Chastain, Chase Elliott, and Denny Hamlin would advance. The 4 on the bottom, look it up: William Byron, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Blaney, and Christopher Bell. 2 more races in this round: Homestead down in Miami, then Martinsville, and then November 6th is the championship. The final 4, the top 4 guys race there. You don't have to win the race to win the championship. You just got to have the most points out of the 4 guys. I mean, if you win, obviously you get the championship, but so it's very important there. And also, there's still owners' points. There's manufacturer points. There's a lot of other things going on besides just those 4 guys that day. Not saying it's fixed, but it's kind of funny how that last day, top 6 guys, usually those 4 racers in it still, but it kind of stays out of their way and lets them fight it out. Major League Baseball. First one, I got my soapbox here.
Okay, this should be good. A lot of activity here over the weekend.
We haven't had a soapbox in a while, so here we go. They put this stat up, and the stat, these don't bother me. Teams with 110-plus wins that did not make the postseason. 2006, it was the Cubs. They lost the World Series. 2009, the Pirates won the World Series. 2007, the Yankees won the World Series. In 54, the Guardians. No, they were still the Cleveland Indians. That bothers me when they go in the past. If they got to change their names, it is what it is. But in the past, they were still the Indians. Still put it down that way. Or write Cleveland down.
Yeah.
The Guardians are not playing in 54.
No.
Stop with that.
Yeah, it needs to stop.
I mean, let's use this team for example. Jim Thome. Or not Jim Thome, that's for Hall of Fame. Does it say Guardians on his hat? Because he played for the Indians, even though he never played there as a Guardian. The Commanders in Washington, if one of those Redskin players go in, is it going to say Commanders on there? I understand why you made the name change. That's another show for another day. But when you're listing history, don't change the names.
Yeah, it's got to be, in this case, to simply use Cleveland.
Just put Cleveland down.
Is all you need to do.
Cleveland, then put AL for American League after it will be fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. I would, that wouldn't bother me then. Fine. But don't do that. All right, here's the playoffs right now. Yankees and Cleveland are playing right now. I do not have a score right now. Are you watching the game?
No.
Okay, it was 3-2 Yanks when I came in here a little bit ago. But so here we go. Phillies and San Diego. whoever placed that bet at the beginning of the playoffs would be Phillies and San Diego and then LCS. He's not working Monday because he, I think, made good cake.
He made bank.
I'd take that day off and cash that in. And if Cleveland advances, okay, look at it this way. Say, let's hope Cleveland makes it. 3 of the 4 teams in the finals were wild card teams.
Okay.
So did that week off hurt the Dodgers and Braves? Did the week off kind of affect the Yankees if they lose a series?
Interesting.
You know, and Houston had that 18-inning game last night, and they had to come from behind in game 1. So Houston's sitting great. Phillies and San Diego in the finals.
Well, they're a 5 and a 6 seed.
Yep.
Very, very.
Yeah.
The worst case possible scenario from the Las Vegas odds.
Yeah.
Are facing each other in the postseason.
Here's the likely scenarios at the beginning of the playoffs for who would be in the World Series. Dodgers to beat the Astros, Dodgers to beat the Yankees. Astros to beat Dodgers, Astros to beat Braves. Yankees over Dodgers, Yankees over Braves. Braves over Yankees, Braves over Astros. Those were your top scenarios.
Okay.
As of right now, the Astros are the only team that might make that because the Yankees haven't clinched it yet. So as of right now, the higher risk ones were Dodgers over the Blue Jays, Astros over the Mets. That's Yankees, Yankees, Mets, Braves, Blue Jays. Only the Astros are involved still. Again, because the Yankees aren't in right now. So that's why I'm saying that.
Wow.
Here was the bottom 4 teams, odds-wise, when the playoffs started. Very well, 3 of the 4 could make it to the Final Four. And one of the 4 is going to be in the World Series. Between the Phillies and Padres, one of the 4 will make the World Series.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. Yeah, that's that part on that.
Now, the Phillies do have on their roster Brad Hand, the Chaska native. In fact, he got the win last night.
Yes.
Philly. He's pitching there in the bullpen, so we'll have to keep an eye on him for the NLCS.
And former New York Met Noah Syndergaard with the Phillies still, too.
Oh, yes, yes.
He was there at the trade deadline, so that's what I got, sir.
And they've got, we still have local kid Chase Henches is pitching in relief for the Guardians. We got former Twins pitcher Ryan Presley in the bullpen for Houston. There's a lot of players here, still some recognizable names here as we get to the Final Four.
And as I've discussed with Pastor, he's the big Guardians fan. I told him on behalf of the Mets, you're welcome. So it's been the players that got in the door trade that have been coming up big for our friends in Cleveland.
Yeah, and Josh Hader, after that trade, he kind of fell apart there in San Diego, but came back last night to get a save, a 3 strikeout save in the 9th.
Yep. A snapper mown down inning, we call it.
It wasn't immaculate, though, right?
No, it's a snapper mown.
Now, what I've got here, Andy, is this. Back on college football, I forgot to bring this up, but the Gophers have come into an agreement, Gopher football.
Yes, I was going to bring this up, yeah.
A home and home with Alabama Crimson Tide in the year 2032 and 33, I think.
Yep. But
huge.
Alabama's done. They lost yesterday to Tennessee. They're washed up. There'll be nobody by then.
It's interesting, though. I was talking with someone, and that's 10 years out, but that's how these schedules work in college football. You're working way so far in the future to get games like this, to get these games booked. Lots of money changing hands, to get a team like that up here and to get the Gophers. Imagine the tailgate crew heading down there to Crimson Tide to watch a Gopher game.
Well, I remember it was about 8 years ago. There was supposed to be a home and home between Oregon and NDSU, but then the first year of that, COVID hit, and that screwed everything up for the next couple of years for scheduling.
Oh, that's right.
That never happened. Now you say with this Bama and the Gophers, I'm not going to say I could read the future, but I'll safe bet Nick Saban's not going to be head coach in those games for Alabama in another 10 years when they come here.
Yeah, and
financially, I'm pretty sure PJ Fleck won't be here either.
And the kids playing in that game 10 years from now are probably in elementary school right
Or
now,
junior high, elementary school now,
or
yeah.
junior high. So it's interesting here that they plan this far in advance for those things. But that is correct. We'll be well into our 60s when that rolls around here, Andy.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for that.
Thanks. We didn't need to bring that up.
Yeah.
Now, my trivia question is this.
Yes.
The answer. Let's get to the answer. The question is, which pitcher in 1988 pitched Major League Baseball in the postseason through a shutout in both the Championship Series and a shutout in the World Series in 1988?
I know this one.
I figured.
Bulldog, Oral Hershiser.
Yes.
He was a beast that year.
That was
during the season. He went 55. Was it 55 innings without a run or something like that too?
So he threw a shutout in both the Championship Series and the World Series. Now, the high school football you talked about, we've completed the first how many weeks of the season? 6 or 7?
Yeah, this is it's MEA this week, so this is the last week. And then
so we've seen the last Friday game now. Of the regular season. Now everyone plays their
Tuesday, Wednesday,
their annual Wednesday and Tuesday games, and then the postseason starts. Brackets should be announced. I think if they're not out there already, they will be this week. And then we'll get into that tournament next week. I think they play Tuesday and Friday or Saturday or something. The next
this year, remember, because of the NFL, the Vikings put in that Thanksgiving night game.
Yep.
The Prep Bowl is usually Friday, Saturday after Thanksgiving. It's not this year. There's another week. Yeah. They're giving them a week off. So you let the playoffs go normal. They're not pushing them different. They let it go normal.
Yeah.
But the week after Thanksgiving, that first weekend, December, will be Prep Bowl.
So the Prep Bowl at U.S. Bank Stadium, the championship games will be after the Thanksgiving weekend rather than during it.
Yes.
And then they always play, I think, a bunch of semifinal games there as well. So that'd be 2 weeks prior.
Yep, the week before Thanksgiving, and they'll be off then the week after.
And what else did I have here? The Twins. Okay, the Twins. Now, we have some updates on Carlos Correa. He came here for big bucks to sign with the Twins. 3-year deal with an option to opt out after year 1 or the option to opt out after year 2. He made it a public the other day in the newspaper. So I don't know if the papers are signed yet with the Twins, but he did say he's going to opt out. He's going to opt out, elect free agency. Now, it did leave the Twins with an article in today's paper saying Derek Falvey and Thad Levine are going to be going over, working out some numbers for negotiations to try to get Correa on board. Now, opinion, now, once again, it's the Dan soapbox. There's nothing to negotiate. Now, once he opts out officially and goes into free agency, those teams are going to be paying big bucks to get him on. The Twins, I don't feel, should be in that mix. Regardless, they paid the big bucks. They emptied their pockets to get him here. He had 3 years to play here. He says he loves it. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But he made the comment that I've got to think long term. I've got to provide for my family. I've got to provide for my son. You just signed a $105 million deal last year to come here. You are providing for your wife, your family, your son. You are providing. You just signed a big contract deal. Now, I know he wants something in the 300 millions. That's fine. Maybe he does. But he signed a big deal to come here, and now he's opting out. Why are the Twins even negotiating? What are they negotiating? They're not – God, I hope they're not going to be in the free agent market, the bidding to get him back.
I doubt the reason that is a sign and trade. They got someone else. Hey, if we sign him to X number of dollars, we'll trade him to you for player X, but we'll still pay 10% of that salary or 20% of that salary.
So it could be something like that.
That might be something where, wink, wink, we got to deal with so-and-so already. We'll sign and trade you. That'd be the only reason I could suggest or think, because
and that
you said words. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Yeah. He said it. He doesn't want to be here. He wants to go. See you, bye.
So on my soapbox, yes, I wouldn't give him the time of day. He elected to opt out, which was his option. I wouldn't give him any consideration to negotiate anything long term. You had your chance. You did all the legwork to get him here in the first place.
Yep.
Now, so I still think part of me is that he's speaking through his through his agent. Is it Scott Boreos.
Scott Rose, yeah.
So he's speaking through his agent with all these innuendos and tongue-in-cheek comments as far as going here, going there, what he wants to do. But the Yankees, someone will sign him big time, and that's fine. The question is, are the Twins left without a shortstop now?
We got so many good ones in the minors.
Maybe not. We've got our top prospects are mostly all shortstops that are coming up.
Yep.
Now, so we've got issues, but we've needed him for this season. We got him for this season. Now, if he doesn't want to come back in years 2 and 3, so be it. But we should not have any business even negotiating with the guy, spending any time wasted, even going after him and getting out the checkbook to keep him here long term. We've got our shortstops in place for the future. We need to be spending our time on so many other things that are going on. So that's it. But he did elect he's going to opt out and not come back. That's fine. And he said publicly I think that's the right decision. It was an easy decision. But I don't get all the commentary that the Twins need to be digging deep to really make this happen. I wouldn't touch him with the 10-foot pole now.
Nope.
Going forward, we got other fires to be putting out. Not a Carlos Correa nonstop drama in the offseason.
Yep.
But
one thing I was mentioning to someone today too, Mr. DeGrom, Jacob DeGrom. We go out on a limb here. I don't want to see Jake go here. I would like to see him stay with the Mets. But I would like this piece fit in.
Really?
Jacob DeGrom to the Seattle Mariners. They signed Robbie Ray, the Cy Young winner from 2 years ago. Signed him, and the Mariners got a nice young team. You get someone like DeGrom in there to really shore up that pitching. You show that you're serious. You open the checkbook to those young kids. And don't get studs like you had before, like A-Rod and Johnson, and watch them walk away.
Yeah.
Don't let these rookies play their rookie contract and go. Sign them all. Be in the team for a while.
And they just got rid of, Corey Seager just left. Went to the Rangers on a big deal.
Yep.
And I wasn't expecting Seattle to be in the mix, but they are, and that'd be a good signing for them. Now, NFL football, we didn't touch on this, but the Vikings won today, Andy. The Packers lost again.
And the Giants won.
The Giants, the Jets.
Come from behind.
So
behind beat the Ravens, the Jets. The Steelers beat the Bucks.
Lots of it's getting
interesting. I read about this in the Book of Revelations, Dan. I think the world's coming to an end.
A lot of strange things happening. But the NFL world is one to follow. There's a lot of things going on there. I think the Jets, first time they strung together 3 straight road victories in many, many years.
It was the first time the Vikes have won 4 in a row in a while. They said too. Now, and here's another thing, a soapbox part 2 I want to get on a little bit. Talk about the NFL, how Major League Baseball playoffs are going on. And the NFL is still a hot topic point. Because if you look at the Major League Baseball playoffs right now, the American League stuff's on TBS. Half of the National League stuff's on Fox Sports 1. That's cable. People don't get those channels. With the exception of the Thursday night games and Monday night games, most of the NFL stuff's on regular TV for you to watch all the time. Yes. So therefore, of course, more people are going to be interested in it.
Yep.
NBA's got mostly all cable now. NHL's got all cable. Therefore, the fans have gone down a little bit. Baseball, mostly all cable. A few games on regular Fox 9 here in Twin Cities for the playoffs. But the American League stuff's all on TBS or TNT. They got 2 games. Or Fox Sports 1. A lot of people don't get those channels. I think that might be hurting Major League Baseball's popularity. Yes, I know TBS is basic cable, but some people don't have cable. A lot of folks nowadays don't have cable. These young kids have just their Netflix and their Hulus, and that's it. So they're not going to see these games.
Correct.
So that's who you got to get the deal with, Major League Baseball, is with Netflix or Hulu to also have your playoff games on there. Have a couple games a week on there to keep the young kids involved watching.
It's true. That's all I've got here.
Box for you.
Anything else, Andy, for sports that you can think of? High school, college, pro?
Like I said, high school football playoffs coming up in a couple of weeks. This is their last week, then their sections start. So follow your local teams there.
And we'll have the same thing with volleyball and soccer.
Soccer are all wrapping up soon, so watch those. Tennis. This falls in between both our sports and songs category this week. We have a special episode coming up. Coming up here in the city's a thing called Twin Cities Con. It's like a Comic-Con. A lot of voice actors from the cartoons are going to be there. A lot of professional wrestlers from the AEW are going to be there. Some members from the TV show Power Rangers are going to be there, stuff like that. We're going to have a couple of the honchos of Comic-Con on the show Tuesday. We'll record that Tuesday night and get that out for you. And then we're not going to have any of the celebrities from Comic-Con. I'll tell you that right now. We're going to do that.
But it'll be a bonus
There'll
episode.
Be a bonus episode doing up. So if you're in the Comic-Con stuff and all those sort of things, they'll be plugging their event coming up here. And we'll get that information out for you. We've been pushing it on our social media already, the event coming up. So if that's your thing, you got any questions for them about who you'd like to see come, let us know and we'll pass it on to them.
Sure. Awesome. All right, everyone. Have a good week.
See ya.
See ya.